Good morning students, welcome to 11th standard computer science. As you know that majority of our sections that we will be dealing in computer science in 11th standard will be based on two things, that is one of them is Python, second is SQL, that is a database programming language. There are some other chapters like we will be studying about the basics of computer system, we will be studying how computer deals with binary and other number systems, and we will be also studying some topics regarding cyber safety and about Boolean algebra. Okay, so today in this video we will be starting with the first chapter of 11th standard computer science, which will make you accustomed with what are the basic, you can say, equipments and what are the basic working procedures of a computer system. Now students, we have been learning or working with computer science since maybe very lower classes. Okay, now you all should remember, every time I was asking you or every time I was actually speaking in the class that what is a computer, we all used to reply the same answer almost. What is a computer system? A computer is a machine that takes input, processes on it and gives back the output. Okay, I hope you understand. Computer is a machine which will take input. Now you will have a, you can say, a thought in your mind that from where it will take input. It will take input through devices called input devices. What was the next step after input? Process on it. Who does the processing, students? CPU. CPU stands for Central Processing Unit. And after the CPU has processed, what will be happening? CPU will give the output. So what is a computer system, students? A computer system is a machine that consists of various parts where we are supplying input through input devices. CPU is processing the input, and after the input is processed and information is actually collected, it is giving the output through the output devices. Okay. Now, a basic computer system has, you can say, two major classifications. As you can see, hardware, software. Very simple repetitive points from lower class students. What is hardware? All physical parts of a computer that we can touch and feel can be called a hardware. Okay. Now think about at least 7 to 8 hardware devices. Monitor, correct? Printer, mouse, keyboard, speakers, headphones, so many lists are there. Pen drives, flash drives, scanner, almost the list is very large. Okay, so all physical parts of computer that we can touch and see, that is called hardware. Now let us come to the next part, that is software. We all are dealing with software term again and again in life. Nowadays we are using computer systems that has software. Nowadays we are using mobile systems where the softwares are also termed as apps. Okay, so what are softwares? Softwares are computer programs that allows us to do separate tasks. Now you might be wondering what separate tasks it allows us to do. Now suppose I have a software, say Windows Media Player. As per you students, what does Windows Media Player do? It is a software which is designed either to play audio files, also it is designed to play video files. Suppose I talk about another software that we are using, say Vidyalaya app. What is the main use of this software Vidyalaya app? It is a software that allows us to, you can say, upload our homework, allows us to upload circulars, and also allows us to insert certain video links. What is the use of the software? Microsoft Office. We all are using Microsoft Office. Microsoft Office is a, you can say, software suite that has various applications like Microsoft Word, where you can actually print or make a document. Microsoft PowerPoint, where you can actually, you can say, make a presentation. Microsoft Excel, that allows us to do spreadsheet based applications. In the same way, Python is also a software, students. IDLE, that we will learn in the coming chapters. So it is also software, it is also a program, it is also an application that allows us to code using our Python language. So a computer system, students, is divided into or classified into major two types: hardware, software. Hardware are the physical parts of the computer and software are the applications which allows us to do separate jobs. Okay, now students, now let us have a look at the IPO cycle. IPO stands for input, process and output cycle. As I spoke just before, what is a computer system? It takes input, processes on it and gives back the output. So that is, you can say, this is a diagrammatic explanation of the same. Let us see. First, let us understand this, then we will give you certain examples to make your concept more concrete. Say data. I am giving some data through the computer, and whenever I am speaking data, data means what? Data means raw facts. Okay? I am giving data to the computer through what? Majorly I will be giving data through input device. Suppose I want to type a letter. So which input device I will use? You can say keyboard. Suppose I want to record a song. Which input device we will use? We will use microphone. Suppose I want to scan a document. Which input device we will use? Scanner. So all these inputs that I am giving to the computer is called data, and data also means raw facts. Now, who does the processing part, students? CPU. Central Processing Unit. Okay? CPU does the processing part, and after the processing part is over, CPU gives the output through where? It gives the output through output devices, and that data that we fed to the computer at the beginning becomes information. So information is also called as processed data. Okay? So I am giving input to the computer, that is data. Data means what? Raw facts. Computer is processing that data. Who is doing the processing? CPU. And after processing is over, through the output device, computer is giving back information. So what is information? Information is processed data. Okay. Now come to the center part. During processing, or whenever we are giving input, the CPU is processing. CPU is interacting with the storage device. Now students, what is a storage device? I will give you a small, you can say, introduction. There are two kinds of storage devices. One can be called primary storage device or primary memory. Second can be called secondary storage devices or secondary memory. We will discuss about these two storage devices in this video session only, but just understand, primary memory will majorly consist of RAM and ROM, and secondary memory will consist of secondary storage devices like hard disk drive or maybe pen drive if required. Okay? So this is the, you can say, storage part. Now during the processing, it may happen that our CPU will give some data to the storage devices. In this case, majorly the storage device can be RAM or it can be the hard disk, or it can also happen that CPU will take some data from the storage devices. That means during processing part, CPU can deal with the storage device, it can give data to storage device for storing, it can also fetch data from the storage devices. Okay? So I repeat, this is the IPO cycle, input, process, output cycle. We are giving input, that input is called data, data is called raw facts. CPU is processing, and during the processing, the CPU can interact with the storage devices. It can give data to the storage devices, it can fetch data through the storage devices, and finally, once the processing is over, CPU will give you the output, and that output is given through output devices, and it is called information or processed data. So this is the IPO or the input, process, output cycle. Okay, now students, so let us see the next thing, that is functioning of a computer system. Just previously we saw the input process output cycle. This is just, you can say, a detailed explanation of the same. This is a chart that is discussing how a computer system actually works. Now in the previous section we had input in the IPU cycle. We had input, we had process, we had output, we had memory. Who was doing the processing? CPU. So if you can see, I have elaborated the CPU. CPU consists of majorly three parts: control unit, CU, arithmetic and logical unit, you can say ALU, and there are a set of memory areas which we call as registers. Primary memory, RAM and ROM. Secondary memory, hard disk or any external storage devices. Input unit leads to or refers to input devices. Output unit refers to the output devices. Now let us understand the thing in short. We are giving input to the CPU, and obviously we will be giving input to the CPU through input device. CPU receives the data, correct? Now there is a part, or there is a, you can say, unit of CPU. That unit is called control unit. Now listen to me carefully. What is the function of a control unit? You can refer the textbook later on, but what is the use of a control unit? The control unit, okay, regulates the flow of data from input device to CPU throughout the memory, and again back from the memory to the output device. It is not processing data. It is suppose acting as a bus conductor. It is not involved in driving the bus, but what it will do? It will take data from input device. It will give the data to all parts of the CPU including the memory. It will take back the data from the memory and it will give the data to the output device. So in short, control unit does not process the data. It is a part of CPU which takes data from input device, regulates the flow of data. Regulates means it will send the data to various parts of the CPU and the memory. After the processing of various parts of CPU and the memory is over, it will take back the data from memory. Now the data which has been processed, now the data which has been converted into information will be given back by the control unit to the output device. So control unit takes input from input device, gives it to CPU and memory. CPU and memory process it. It takes the, you can say, new information back from the CPU and memory and gives it to the output device. Talking about second part of CPU, that is arithmetic and logical unit. We all are, you can say, speaking the same word. Computer very faster in calculation. Computer is processing everything so fast. So all the mathematical calculation that a computer does in a fraction of a second, all these mathematical related tasks are performed by the second part of the CPU, that is arithmetic and logical unit, ALU. Okay, so ALU performs all mathematical calculations. Now third part of the CPU, registers. Listen to me carefully. Registers are what? Registers are extremely fast memory devices inside the CPU. What does a CPU use register for? Now listen. A CPU will require to store information that it requires again and again. Okay. For very fast storage and very fast access, the CPU stores the temporary information for faster access into a small memory area that we call as registers. Okay. Now you will be having you can say confusion, sir, that why it stores in register, why does it not store in primary memory and secondary memory? The answer is very simple. CPU does not store all data in the register. It will only store that data, that information which it requires again and again and at a very faster rate. That it will do automatically. Okay. Now you will have a question that why not primary memory? Primary memory is also fast, but the answer is registers are actually much faster as compared to primary memory. Yes, the answer is true that registers are very small in size, not that much size or not that much space as per primary memory. So that is why CPU does not store all the information in register, because the size is small. It will store only those information that it requires very fast and repetitively. It will store only those information in register which it requires again and again for a faster access. Other information, the CPU will interact with the primary memory, majorly RAM, and if required the CPU will store information to secondary memory, that is hard disk. If required, it will take back information from the secondary memory, that is hard disk or any other device. And once all the processing is over, the control unit of the CPU will give the output to the output device. Okay. So in a nutshell, we are giving data to the computer through input device. Remember, this data can be called raw facts. CPU has a part, control unit, which takes the data, gives it to other parts of the CPU as well as gives it to the memory. Once these parts of the CPU process the data, that data becomes information, correct? Now that information is again taken back by the control unit, and control unit gives the information to the output device. Performing mathematical operations in a CPU is done by arithmetic and logical unit. What are registers? Registers are a set of extremely fast memory which is smaller in size. CPU will only store those data in register which it requires again and again for frequent use. Otherwise, CPU will store the data temporarily in the primary memory, or if it wants permanent storage, it will store in the secondary memory. And after all the processing is over, the data we supplied through the input unit becomes information, and control unit gives the information back to the output. Okay students, so next we are going to talk about the memory unit of a computer system. Now as we know, a computer system has two kinds of memory: primary memory, secondary memory. We generally say that primary memory can be used for temporary storage. Secondary memory is generally used for a permanent storage. Now what is the difference between both of them? Let me give you an example. Suppose you are working on a computer system and you are typing something. Okay, suppose you are writing a story or a letter in Microsoft Word, correct? Now there are two cases. Case number one, you have written some part of the letter and suddenly electricity goes off, your computer shuts off. Now in most cases what will happen, that once you restart the computer, will you get that file back what you have typed? Most cases answer will be no. What is the reason? You did not save your file. So whenever you are working on Microsoft Word and you did not save your file, where was that data getting temporarily stored? That data was getting temporarily stored in primary memory. Also, we can say it was getting temporarily stored in random access memory, that is RAM. So your data won't be coming back. Now on the contrary, let us see case number 2. You were writing a letter, you typed maybe 5 lines, you saved that file in some part of the computer. Electricity went off, you started the computer, will you get that data back? Yes, you will get the data back because you actually save your file, and whenever you are saving your file, you are saving your file in secondary memory, either in you can say hard disk or in pen drive if you are working with that. So before I proceed ahead, primary memory is generally used for temporary storage, secondary memory is used for permanent storage. Now let us have a look at each of them one by one. First we will have a look at RAM. RAM stands for random access memory. Okay. This is actually a very important part of the computer system, students. More the RAM, the more faster, the more efficient your computer system will work. Less the RAM, you might feel that your computer is working slowly some of the times. Nowadays generally 4 GB of RAM we are providing in CPUs. Even in mobile phones you can see we are getting 4 GB RAM, 8 GB RAM, 12 GB RAM. What is the requirement of this much RAM? Whatever we are currently working on a mobile phone, whatever we are currently working on you can say a desktop or a computer system, all processing is temporarily done by RAM. This means more the RAM, faster the processing, less the RAM, slower the processing will be there. So RAM stands for random access memory. Now pay attention to this. RAM is called volatile storage. Okay, VOLATILE. RAM is called volatile storage. What is the meaning of this? It will store data for you as long as your computer system is on. As soon as your computer system is off, it will lose all the data that it actually contained. This means volatile. Okay, RAM will store data until it gets electricity, until it gets power. As soon as it loses electricity, either by shutdown or by you can say electricity loss, it will lose all the data. Okay. Now there are majorly many types of RAM are there. I am discussing the main two. There are two kinds of RAM: DRAM, SRAM. SRAM, static RAM. DRAM, dynamic RAM. I will write the first words. S stands for static random access memory. D stands for dynamic random access memory. Now there is a very small difference between both of the students. Understand? Static RAM will hold all the information into it until the computer is shut down. Simple to understand. Until power is there, until electricity is there, it will store all the information in it, and once the computer is off, it will erase all the data in it automatically. Dynamic RAM on the other hand is little you can say complicated working. For dynamic RAM to keep saving the data, we have to refresh it from time to time. Details we will see in the coming chapters, but main difference is static RAM will store all information until your computer is shut off. Dynamic RAM, it is working in a different manner. For you to keep the information in dynamic RAM, we have to refresh it again and again. Details of this too we will see in the coming classes. So these were the two kinds of RAM, students. I hope you are clear. What is RAM? RAM is a primary memory. More the RAM, the faster the processing, because it is the main memory that you are actually dealing with. Then RAM is also called volatile storage. It will store data for a temporary time. Once electricity and power is off, computer is shut down, it will lose all the information. Two kinds of RAM, static RAM and dynamic RAM. Static RAM holds information throughout until your computer is shut off. For dynamic RAM, to make it hold the information, you have to refresh it again and again. Now let us see the second type, that is ROM. Read only memory. Okay. Generally, this kind of primary memory is already written with data when your computer manufacturer creates a new system. Okay, when your computer manufacturer creates your new system. I will give you a certain example. Suppose you have purchased a computer system of Dell. What do you mark? When you start the computer system, does the Dell logo and everything appear? Yes. Suppose you are you can say using a desktop computer, and for some reason you have disconnected the keyboard. So if you just start your computer, you will get an error, keyboard not found. Correct? Suppose one of the components of a computer, or you can say the random access memory, RAM of the computer is not functioning properly. So when you start the computer, you will get an error that there is memory issues. Okay, so all these things is done by read-only memory. Now, what does read-only memory do? It will store information relating to manufacturer details, relating to the information regarding how much memory do you have. Also, it will perform some tests, okay, whenever your computer actually starts. What kind of test? Test whether all components are proper, memory is proper, keyboard and mouse are found or not. Once the test is successfully passed, it will allow you the computer to start. Okay, so this is read only memory. I will revise in a nutshell. It is the primary memory which is generally written by the manufacturer during the, you can say, establishment of your computer. It stores their details regarding memory, and also it has a very important job during the booting up process of a computer. It checks whether various components of the computer are okay and working correctly or not. Coming to the last type of you can say primary memory, spelling is C-A-C-H-E. It is pronounced as cache. Cache means C-A-S-H. Spelling is different, so pronunciation you have to take care. It is called cache memory. Okay. Look at this. CPU, primary memory. Cache memory is generally located between CPU and primary memory. Now, what is the use of cache? Cache is a extremely fast memory. Okay, it is limited in size and it is much faster as compared to your random access memory or primary memory. Now, how does this function? Suppose, pay attention. Our CPU requires some information. It will request for cache if it is having that information. If cache is having that information, it will give it to CPU. If cache is not having that information, cache will give a request to RAM. RAM will give that information to cache and it will give back to the CPU. So, cache is a very small memory, not as large as RAM, but it is extremely faster, and more importantly, it is more faster as compared to our random access memory. And for the information which our CPU may require again and again, it can refer to the cache before it is asking to the RAM. Please pay attention to the two topics so to avoid confusion. You can say discussed in the previous you can say type that we discussed about registers. Registers and cache are almost doing the same work, but the difference is register is too small in size. Very important information which computer requires faster can be stored in register. Cache is a memory which is little bit bigger in size as compared to register, but it is more faster than RAM. So computer again stores only those information which it frequently requires, and whenever a CPU you can say needs some information, it will check whether that information is there in cache or not. If it is there, cache will provide, otherwise that information will be obtained from the RAM or the primary memory. So to sum up this cache is an extremely small and extremely faster memory. CPU actually refers to the cache for information that it requires again and again. So this was our primary memory section, students. Secondary memory, it is also called non-volatile storage. And non-volatile means even if the power is off, it will store the data for you. That means permanent storage. Hard disk, CD drive, DVD drive, pen drives, all are example of secondary memory. Okay, last point, hard disk is actually a mechanical device, students. Okay, now what does a hard disk generally consist of? A hard disk consists of mechanical moving parts. It consists of magnetic tapes together. So you can say that processing and storing and fetching information from the hard disk is little bit slower as compared to RAM, because all these are electrical parts and this is a mechanical part. So we can say in general primary memories are much faster as compared to secondary memory. We have other types of secondary memory which has, you can say, platters and other things like CD, DVD, pen drives are electrical drives, but in general primary memory is faster as compared to secondary memory. What is the advantage of primary memory? Much faster. What is the disadvantage? It is used for temporary storage. What is the advantage of secondary memory? Secondary memory allows us to permanently save data. Disadvantage, it is slower to access as compared to primary memory. So this was the difference between primary and secondary memory. Thank you.